Welcome everyone to Ham Radio University 2022. My name is Diane Ortiz, my call sign is K2DO, and I've been a ham this year 50 years. So this morning I'd like to show you around our special virtual Ham Radio University for 2022 with some tips and techniques for getting the most out of the event. There are some people here who I'd like you to meet. So start at the top. George.
Hello, everybody.
Want to
Welcome
introduce
to Ham
yourself?
Radio University. Yeah, I'm George Tranos. Welcome to Ham Radio University.
Okay. And next we have, I think we have Jim here. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good morning. My name is Jim Measy, W2KFV. I'm the section manager for New York City, Long Island. And welcome everybody for HRU, and hope you have a great day.
Terrific. And we have Mel.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mel Granick. I'm KS2G. I'm one of the founding members of the committee of Ham Radio University. I've been doing forums for every year since the founding. Happy to be here again. I'll be doing forums later today on HF operating and contesting, and I hope you enjoy them. Welcome.
Thank you. And Richie?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Richie Cetron, K2KNB, licensed since 1958, currently the president of the Long Island Mobile Amateur Radio Club and the affiliated club coordinator for the New York, Long Island section. Welcome, everyone. Have a great time today.
Great. And last but not least, our chairman, Tom.
Yes, hello, everyone. I'm Tom Karuba, KA2D. I've been the chairman of Ham Radio University and one of the original founders. And I'll say welcome to our 23rd Ham Radio University. I'll be speaking to you later on logging programs and DXing. Hopefully you have a good day. Enjoy. 7-3 from KA2D.
Thank you so much, Tom. Really appreciate it. So now let's go on to the next. And, you know, people ask, when was the first Ham Radio University? It's hard to believe that this is our 23rd event, 23rd year of doing Ham Radio University. And that photo is our first Ham Radio University, which was at Phelps Lane in North Babylon, Long Island, at the Babylon Town Hall. And that's Long Island, New York, because I know there are people here from all over the country. And we even have some people here from outside the country. And we'll find out a little bit about that later. There are many forums but that are going to go on today, this morning, and into the afternoon. But back then, we had 15 forums at our first HRU with about 150 attendees. Admission was a $2 donation, and that included free coffee and donuts. And there were more than 50 people at the VE, the volunteer exam session, and that overflowed into the huge cafeteria of that building. So again, from left to right, that's Tom, KA2D. It's Phil, N2MUN, our founder. George, N2GA, who's on here now. And I think I'm in there as well. So speaking of our founding members, this, as well as the last one, is in memory of really our founder, Phil Lewis, N2MUN, a wonderful ham radio operator, a man of vision, and a good friend. He was past president of the Great South Bay Amateur Radio Club, Order of Boiled Owls of New York Contest Club. He was active in DXing and a member of the Yankee Clipper Contest Club. And we miss him very much. And we have tried to continue in his memory. And we're so happy to have you here today to help us do that. Okay, so let's take a poll. So let's take a moment to answer a couple of questions. We'll post the results. So George, if you could take us through one of the polls, let's find out a little bit about you. So George, you let me know when you have a poll up. Okay, so when George puts up the poll, those of you who have the screen on your computer, just take your mouse to answer it. I don't see it yet, George. Can you see the poll?
Yes, it's the location poll, Diane.
Oh, the location poll. Okay, terrific. All right, so if everybody could just take a moment to put that up.
All right, most everybody has voted. Why don't you do an audience view, Diane, so you can see the results of what's up, what I'm going to show.
Okay, all right, yes. Okay, terrific.
All right, I'm going to close the poll,
Okay.
share the results.
Okay, so we have a lot of people from New York City, Long Island, from elsewhere in New York State, and some people from other areas as well. So that's great. Okay, thank you so much. So George, do we have another poll to put up?
Sure. Would you like the license class poll? Or
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so if you take a moment to just let us know what your license class is, that would be great. So just take a moment and click on one of those. Again, your answers are anonymous. So please feel free to put that. And this gives us an idea of who's here this year. And we'll post the results in a minute.
Okay, all done.
Okay, thank you, George. And if you post the results of the poll,
Yep, you should have them.
okay, great. All right, so it looks like everybody pretty much has an amateur radio license. George, could you go over that? Because I can't see it that well. Could you go over the results of that poll?
19% novice and technician, 27% general or advanced, 49% amateur extra, and 6% licensed in another country, but not in the US.
Okay, oh, very good. Well, welcome everybody. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay. All
And
right,
one more,
so, oh, one more poll? I'm sorry.
have they attended Ham Radio University before?
Oh, great, great question. Okay, so everyone, if you just have a moment, we'd like to know if you've joined us before or if this is your first Ham Radio University. So again, if this is your first time, maybe once before, many times, or if you've been with us every single year, that would be amazing.
Okay, I'm going to close. And the results. 72% first time, Diane.
Wow, okay, that's great. That's great. And a few of you once before and a few more there. All right, so that's wonderful. That gives us a great idea of who's here this morning. All right, so let's go over what exactly is Ham Radio University. Right, since we started, Ham Radio University has also been the New York City Long Island Convention, NLI Convention. And before we had to go virtual because of COVID, it was an in-person event. A few years ago, our last in-person HRU was at Long Island University at CW Post in Brookville on Long Island in New York. We had a keynote speaker, many hands-on workshops, a volunteer exam session, a club room, handouts. We had more than 30 forums, but because of the COVID-19 restrictions, we've been using this GoToWebinar platform to try and recreate the forum room experience for you. So if you are having a problem with this GoToWebinar program, there is an attendee guide accessible from the main page of the hamradiouniversity.org website. So again, there are many, many different forums that are going to be held today, starting at 9 o'clock. And if you go to the main page of the Ham Radio University website, you'll be able to pull up a flyer with a list of all of the different forums that are going to be going on today. So let's talk a little bit. People ask, well, where are we? Well, this is a map of the United States with all the different ARRL sections. And you see New York State over there on the right, and all the way on the bottom, kind of sticking out, is Long Island, New York. So many of you are from the local area. This is the NLI section, which is part of the ARRL Hudson Division. So we'd like to find out, where are you? So I think we already did that, George. We already did that poll. So we know that most of you are here from the local area, but we have people from all over. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. So
Yeah,
why do we have yes.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask the other organizers and panelists to not show your webcam at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, George. We know you guys are there, so thank you. And if you have something to add, just pop in. So why have an HRU? You know, there are ham fests, there are clubs with meetings, but why is this event different? Well, our logo, as you can see, says to spread ham radio knowledge and know-how by having a day of education to share ideas, experiences, knowledge, and fellowship among amateur radio operators. It really worked. And HRU has grown every year with more forums, participation, and attendees. And the last year we had an in-person event. Every room was full to overflowing. So, you know, it was about getting together, and a lot of us wanted to target especially ham radio operators who hadn't been active in a while. And I know there are a lot of you out there, as well as new hams who are looking for groups and for activities, want to know, well, maybe I just got my license and maybe I've just been on the 2-meter repeater, or I haven't even been on the radio yet. Well, what do I do now? And this event is here to try and help you and answer those questions. So here are some tips, things to know before you begin. You need to register for each forum. If you registered for just one forum, that you're not going to be able to register for another. And you need to register before the forum begins. So even right now, if you look at the list of forums and you see, okay, there's a forum starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, all things digital VHF and above with W2PW. It's not too late to register for that. Once the forum begins, then you can't. So, but the forums are being recorded, and at a time a little bit later on, because it is difficult, the forums hopefully will be available on the HRU YouTube channel. So also, you can submit questions anytime. The moderator will usually answer your questions at the end of their forum. If you look at your dashboard, and most of you will have that on screen, you'll see there's a little listing with arrows that have different things. One of them is questions. So if you click on that little arrow, and you'll be able to type in a question. We may not answer it right away. One of the moderators may be able to answer it for you, but you know, that will be available to you. Also, if you want to, you know, make comments about HRU, there is a survey when you exit the forum. Each forum, each presentation at the end, you'll get an email, and also on screen will be an exit survey. So we'd appreciate it if you'd fill out that survey as well. Also, there is a special event station going on, W2HRU on HF on many different frequencies and also on VHF. So if you want to work the special event, you can go ahead and do that at any time. I think that is continuing until Sunday, as far as I know. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about handouts. So if the presentation has a handout, it's available for download during the forum. And again, on your dashboard, it will usually appear someplace there where you can download it. And hopefully we'll try and have them also on the HRU website afterwards for you to download. There are different ways to access it. Again, if you have any questions, just send us an email or put a question in the question box there, and we'll try and get to your question as soon as we can. So some people say, well, I want to see two forums, but they're both running at the same time. What can I do? All right, so here are two. They're running at the same time. I want to see both. Can you do it? Yes. Yes, you can. So register for both of them and watch one on your computer and the other on your laptop or phone. So I'm not really recommending that you do that, but it answers a question, and that is a tip for some of you to be able to see more than one forum. Okay, so this is the entire committee. So we appreciate, everything that you do coming to HRU. Many of you have made donations to continue. That really everybody here is a volunteer. So we want to make this the best experience for you as possible. All the moderators have spent a lot of time. The committee has spent a lot of time to make this the best possible HRU that we can. So again, here are different members of the committee, as well as the ones that introduced themselves earlier. Anyone who didn't introduce themselves at the beginning, do you want to come forward? I think Neil, you weren't there earlier. Well,
Hey,
I guess he's not. Are you
No,
there?
I'm here. I'm gonna leave the camera down, but Neil, KC2KY. I've been with Ham Radio University since its inception in 2000. Currently president of Radio Central Amateur Radio Club and member of the HRU committee, and also a member of the New York Order of Boiled Owls.
Okay.
I'm proud to be part of our 23rd HRU, and I wish for everybody to have a great time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neil. Okay. All right. So if you want to learn more about past HRU events, there's so much on the website. So if you go to hamradiouniversity.org, you'll see under history, past event flyers and information. There's photos, and also presentations are also available there as well. So another tip that I want to mention is most of the presenters, as well as all of the members of the committee, if you want to get in touch with them during or after the HRU event, most of us have an @arrl.net address. So let me put mine up. I'm Diane K2DO. So my contact info is K2DO@arrl.net. And for those of you who are interested or have questions that didn't get answered during the forum, you can always contact us via that email or through the website, and we'd be happy to help you. So again, any comments from any of the committee members? Anything you'd like to add?
When you're ready, Diane, we do have some questions.
Okay, terrific. All right, so let's go ahead with the questions. George?
All right, I'm just going to show my webcam. Okay, so the first question is how many people are registered for today's event?
Okay, well, George, can you answer that for us?
I don't have the exact number. We have more than 200 registered for each of some of the forums. We don't have the total number for all of the different forums yet, but we will have that after the event, Diane.
Okay, terrific, terrific. So any other questions?
Yes, I think you may want to refer this person to one of our forums. They want to know what's a good HF radio for a new general. So maybe you can comment on that.
Okay, so Mel, if you're still there, you're doing the basics of HF operating. What would you say to this person?
Okay, let me get the ham radio. I'll be doing a forum on HF operating. I'm not specifically going to be talking about equipment as such, but I will be having a section in that forum about the various controls on HF radios and what they do, and that can be helpful in deciding what radio that you want, how sophisticated a rig that you want. So I invite you to attend my forum. I think it'll be helpful to you, even if you don't yet have a radio, to understand how HF works, and that'll help you understand what to look for in an HF radio when you get one for the first time.
Great, thank you, Mel. And also, too, I would look at that QRP low power fund. Many hams who don't want to spend a whole lot of money on equipment, although for low power operating, you could spend quite a bit, but you can start out there. That'll give you some of the basics. Any other suggestions from any of our committee members? Okay. All right, George, any other questions?
Let's see. I don't have anything else at this time, Diane. I do recommend that anybody that wants to ask a question, on your control panel, there's a little questions tab. If you click on the little arrow before the word questions, it will open up the questions tab and you can ask a specific question. I also recommend that you take a look at the Ham Radio University website and go to the forums page and take a look at all of the different forums. And there's still time to register for each forum or for any particular forum that you're interested in. Diane?
Okay, great. And yes, and there are explanations. I mean, if you just printed out the flyer that's on there, it does have a list of the different forums, but the actual descriptions with photos of each presenter are on the website as well. So that'll give you a better idea of what the forum is about. So this is, again, you do have to register for each forum individually. That's just the way the system works with the GoToWebinar, and you will get a link for that in your email to be able to register for that. So coming up at 9 o'clock, we've got 3 great forums. We have the ARL forum for the New York City, Long Island section, and even if you're not in this section, if you're not in New York, you're not on Long Island, it's always interesting to see what's going on, and you might have hints or want to get some information if you're in another ARL section, if you're active in the ARL section activities or division activities. That's a great place to get more information. The Hudson Division Director will also be part of that forum, as well as Jim, W2KFV, our section manager. And then all things digital, VHF and above, that's a great place to learn more. And of course, QRP, as you could probably tell, I love QRP, so that's one of my favorites. So low power fun, there's nothing like just setting up at a park and just throwing up an antenna and doing some operating. Then at 10 o'clock, we have the basics of HF operating with Mel, our committee member, KS2G. If you're interested in scanning, that's a great place to learn more about that. That's very popular with many hams, or maybe that's something new that you're interested in with W2LIE. And grounding, our grounding specialist, he's an electrical engineer, WB2BEZ. And that's something, especially those of you in many areas where there's a lot of lightning, especially those of you down in Florida. I know on the West Coast, we have family there and lightning is a big issue there. But grounding is something everybody needs to know about, very important. And then, of course, we have contesting at 11 o'clock with KS2G, with Mel. And he has the distinction of having presented at every single Ham Radio University. So congratulations, Mel, and you'll get some tips and techniques from Mel about contesting. And then we have Peter, also one of our committee members, W2JV, who's an expert on satellite operations. And kind of related to that is Skywarn. And everybody's talking about the weather these days. And those of you in New York, we've got that snow on the ground. So it's always nice to know that there are hams all over the country who are reporting and helping the country with their activities in Skywarn. Then at noon, we have ham radio logging programs with Tom, KA2D. There are lots of different ways to log now. Since I've been a ham now 50 years, I started with paper logs, and things have certainly changed since then. So now there are many different ways to do it electronically. And of course, with our CW group, how to learn and have more fun with Morse code. So that's always been a popular forum as well. There's so much to learn and do. And cables and connectors with Richie, K2KNB. Richie has done workshops at our in-person Ham Radio University events, and those have always been very popular. And that's something that we all as hams are going to do one time or another, is work with cables and connectors. At 1 o'clock, we have Intro to DXing, and these are all Eastern Standard Time, by the way, with KA2D and W2UDT. So if you want to learn more about how to operate, to find these DX stations and to add to your list, if you're one of those people who wants to have a lot of countries, There are many countries that are coming on the air very soon as well that are very rare. So you can ask about that if that's something you're interested in. And then FT8, a very, very popular HF digital mode with W2NGG, NDG. And then we're going to talk about parks on the air. I think that's Tom, K2D. Are you talking about that? Are you on that forum?
No, Diane, actually AA2VG, Peter DeLuca and Lou, and O2C. Peter is a active, he activates many parks around our area. And Lou is one of the premier park chasers. So they're going to give you a lot of hints on chasing parks, which is kind of addicted from KA to D.
Okay, this is national parks as well as state parks, Tom?
They're all national parks and state parks, both of them. And they have quite a site, and they'll introduce all that stuff to you. It's quite the thing now, kind of rage with everybody being home from COVID. So there's many people that like to go and activate in a park. We've done it locally from some of the parks in our Long Island area. And Peter, again, is one of the premier activators from our particular area. And Lou and his wife, Sally, chase parks all over the world. So it's kind of a fun activity.
Sounds great, Tom. I'll look forward to that. And then at 2 o'clock, our last row of forums, we have software-defined radios with N2RJ. And she is an expert on that. And if it's something that you've thought about, this is the place to go to learn more about software-defined radios. And then ever popular, the Raspberry Pi. There are different apps for using it on ham radio, and our expert W2NGG will be talking about that as well. So if you've ever been interested in that or you are on it, that's the place to go to ask questions. And then our last forum I'm going to be running, that's kind of going to be our virtual club room. And we're going to have representatives from many different clubs and organizations and talk about, well, why join a club? How do I find a club? What are the benefits? So that's our lineup for today. And again, we want to thank you for joining us. George, any other questions?
We don't have any other questions at this time, Diane. However, you may want to talk about the fact that all of this is available on our website under forums. If there's anything that you missed, take a look at our forums page. It's hamradiouniversity.org. And if you just click on forums, it will bring you over to that page. Also, Diane, you may want to comment on the suggested donation.
Okay, yes, thank you. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, this is a all volunteer event. It does cost quite a bit to use this platform and to get this all together. And everything that is donated, and if you make a donation on the website, it's much appreciated. And I know many of you have. And that's going to help us when we do an in-person event, hopefully next year. If this COVID thing is under control, then it does cost us quite a bit for the venue. But again, everybody here is a volunteer, and we have special thanks and appreciation extended to all of you for your understanding in this. And we want to thank all of the forum moderators for sharing their knowledge and expertise, and all the clubs and organizations who worked hard to make this event a success through their direct involvement, through their advertising, and through their help in helping us find moderators for Ham Radio University. And now, Tom, I think, did you have, were there some other things from the section that you wanted to mention?
Yes, I do. First of all, those that don't use the PayPal, you can send a check donation to our treasurer, KC2KY. He's on QRZit.com. If you want to do a check, I have some people have sent directly to me, so we're forwarding that over. And we have 3 gifts from the ARRL that George will send you an email link. Whoever, we did a drawing while we were all speaking. So we have one $50 gift certificate and 2 $25 gift certificates compliments of American Radio Relay League. And the gift certificates are good for ARRL merchandise or publications. So congratulations to those who won. They'll be sent, and you'll receive an email with the instructions on how to receive that. And again, good morning and happy HRU. Thank you, Diane.
Okay, thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it. And thank you to the ARRL for supporting this event, both in QST and with that information. So over to you, George. Any other comments from anyone on the committee?
I don't have anything, Diane.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. At this time, again, welcome to HRU. Enjoy the forums today. And again, all the information about what's coming up is on the HRU website, as George mentioned. And we look forward to seeing you later on and hearing what you think about HRU 2022. Okay, 7-3, everyone.